Welcome, everybody. This is Avoiding the Addiction Affliction brought to you by Westwards Consulting, the Kenosha County Substance Use Disorder Coalition, and by a grant from the state of Wisconsin's Dose of Reality Real Talks, reminding you that opioids are powerful drugs and that one pill can kill. I'm Mike McGowan. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of talking to Kevin Gardere, the CEO of Bridge House Grace House in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was so taken by the creativity of the program that I asked if we could possibly have another conversation with another member. Well, today I'm joined by Dennis Farmer, who, like Kevin, is a Bridge House alumni. Dennis also runs their used car program. Now, if you didn't listen to the last conversation with Kevin, you just said, wait, what? We'll get into that in a few minutes. But first, welcome, Dennis. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I'll get into your work at Bridge House Grace House in a minute, but first, as I was reading your stuff, you had quite the journey to sobriety.
Yeah, it was not an easy road. It was a long road, but I made it.
Yeah.
I'm here today. So I know people, I should say, who are in recovery and got sober or they got clean rather quickly, one or two times the
Yeah.
treatment. They figured it out, they got involved, they did something right, and they've been sober since. That is not my story.
I was
At
laughing.
all.
No, it's not. Now,
No.
you're in Louisiana right now, but you're not a native, right? Where I think I
No,
read, were you?
I am a native New Orleanian, but
Okay.
I traveled the country. So many moons ago, let's say, my career was a thoroughbred jockey. I rode racehorses professionally, and God took me all over the country. And so I am a native New Orleanian, but I've lived a lot of places.
Well, and when did you start using and what was your drug of choice?
Sure. So, I dabbled with substances as a child, early in childhood. But as far as, substances addictively, I would say probably I was about 20 years old
Mm,
when I started. And I think at 21, I was at my first AA meeting.
mm.
So it happened quickly for me. And my dream as a child was to be a jockey. That's what I wanted. That was my passion as a child. I loved the sport of thoroughbred racing. I was small in stature, and I knew some kids whose dad was a jockey. So I had that in. And so that was my dream. And I got to experience that, albeit not for long because addiction robbed me of that.
And when you mentioned AA, was alcohol your drug of choice?
My first love, so to speak, was alcohol. That was what I was first addicted to was alcohol. Yes.
When you said jockey, maybe this is a bad assumption on my part. I automatically went to stimulants because I thought that would be a way to control weight,
Well,
etc.
correct. And that's what eventually happened.
Mm,
It was common amongst people in my profession to be on stimulants for the very reason you said, weight reduction. And it's really something because while I quickly became addicted, there are many guys who
yeah.
were able to walk away who I guess now in hindsight with 2020 and the knowledge I have today, they just were not addicts.
Yeah.
And I was.
That's always fascinating to me, whether you talk about soldiers in the war, in wars who use substances. I work with professional athletes occasionally, and some can use a voluminous amount and seem to not be as effective. Other people go right towards, I'm in it.
There are guys. So yeah, I started with the weight thing, the stimulants, but it eventually became a recreational thing and quickly spiraled into full-blown addiction. But there are guys that did the same thing I did, the same substances I did, and at some point just stopped. They went on and had very successful lives.
Mm.
And that was not the case for me. I totally spiraled out of control.
Well, yeah, I talked to Kevin the last time at Bridge House. One of your mission statements is to help people who've lost everything. And that clearly would have applied to you, right?
Clearly, absolutely. So I went to treatment the first time in 96. And because the people that loved me were concerned
Hmm.
and were kind of nudging me, pushing me to get some help. And begrudgingly, I did that. And I said begrudgingly, and obviously it didn't happen. that time. And I didn't even complete the treatment center. I left and because I still had some things in my life that led me to believe that I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very deceiving. And I left that treatment center in 96. And I had no idea, no clue what was to lie in store for me down the road, how much pain was going to be inflicted. I just had no clue. And when I ended up at Bridge House in 2014, I had already gone to about 20 some odd different treatment centers from coast to coast because I was another person who thought I could change the scenery and things would be better. But as they say, wherever I went, there I was. So I brought
Yeah.
this illness with me.
Yeah.
And, go to all the treatment centers prior to Bridge House with 28-day, 30-day programs, maybe a little longer sometimes, maybe a detox, then treatment. But inevitably, I always ended up, going back to addictive behaviors.
Isn't it amazing how the tricks that the brain plays on you to allow you to think that you can keep
Right.
using?
It's to protect the illness at all costs.
Sure, absolutely.
I didn't know that. When I would leave a treatment center after 28 days, I really was convinced that I was going to stay clean and sober and do good. And sometimes I'd go months, and sometimes the same day I left. I swear, and I was fine, and I wasn't, an hour later, I was at a liquor store and then a crack house. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And then because you referenced the first time you went to treatment, then you mentioned 2014. So we're talking over a decade, right? Of
Oh, yeah.
in and out and spiraling
yeah.
up, spiraling down.
So I do the math sometimes. So my sobriety date is 2016, September. So I'm coming up on 9 years. I'll have 9 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. September 13th. So I do the math. I got sober in 2016. I went to my first recovery meeting in 91. So we talk a lot about bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept thinking, golly, I hit a bottom this time, But every time, like the bottom, I heard someone say to me one time, it was like, every time I thought I couldn't go any lower, like a trap door would open and I'd fall to
Yeah.
to eventually being homeless,
Yeah.
a stereotypical homeless guy with, flying, we call it flying a sign, begging for money at an intersection and completely letting myself go. When I think about it, if I stop long enough to think about it, I can't believe that I had sunk to that level, that depth, I should say. But it's common. I mean, it's not uncommon with people who are addicted. It happens. I
Yeah.
never thought I'd go from being a jockey, living my dream, having a nice car, doing all these things, to pushing a shopping cart, recycling to feed my addiction. And that's really what happened.
Well, and then not to be too obvious, but you went from living under a bridge
Yes. Yes.
to living in Bridge House.
So I was on the West Coast, and it's kind of a long story. We don't have time to get into it, but I made my way to the Bay Area of California from Seattle. So I was in Seattle, and I got offered a spot in a faith-based program in the Bay Area. And at the time, I was homeless in a park in Seattle, had pneumonia. I was, probably going to die. At least the people at the shelter I was eating at thought I was going to die. Sent me to San Jose to get help. And I didn't even make it into the program. I was on the railroad tracks doing drugs with the other homeless people in an encampment. And I set up shelter under a train trestle next to Highway 101 for over 2 years. And and to be able to justify that or be okay with that, I had to stay loaded
Yes.
24/7. If my eyes were open, I had to be under the influence because being sober in that environment was just too painful. Like it was just overwhelming.
How did you end up then from California to back in Louisiana?
Yeah, so things were not good, to say the least. I kind of had an epiphany that I was going to die
Mm-hmm.
under a bridge where no one knew me because I was about 106 pounds. I'm not tall, but even on my frame, 106 pounds is incredibly skinny. And I thought, I'm going to die under a bridge and no one will know. And I'll be a John Doe. I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to go back home to New Orleans. And that's where I'm going to die. At least that's where the people that love me are. And so I ended up back in Louisiana. And at first I went to Shreveport. I had some friends there. I brought all the insanity from California to Shreveport. And the people that wanted to help me in Shreveport, after they saw the insanity, they were like,
Hmm.
oh, we don't, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I can't blame them, And so, well, they bought me a bus ticket to New Orleans, and I got to New Orleans, and some friends that I've known most of my life said, why don't you think about going into Bridge House? And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I want to do Bridge House. It's long term, blah, blah, blah." I said, well, they have a new building. It's really nice. We think you need as long as they can give you. But this is how delusional I was because I'm trying to bargain. Well, I don't think I need that. But really, I had no clue what I needed. Like I was a mess. And they weren't going to let me stay with them. So that's what I said. Well, let's do this. And I came to Bridge House in, I want to say October of 2014. And I don't know if Kevin mentioned to you when you talked to him last time, but I'll consider a frequent flyer here.
Yes. 4 times, was it 4?
Five.
5.
So five trips to Bridge House in a 24-month span. So in 24 months, I spent 19 months as a patient client in treatment here. And 3 of the 5 times I showed up with the clothes on my back.
Hmm.
And they met all my needs.
Well,
And
that's part of the reason, Dennis, that I wanted to talk to you because as I talk to people around the country, that's unusual in itself. It is not the norm to be given another crack, let alone 2, 3, 4, 5 cracks at the
yeah,
bat, right?
yeah. And I never felt judgment. I never felt like, oh God, it's you again. I don't know if we can help you. Never did I feel that. It was always, come on back, come on back, come on back. Don't give up. We're here for you. It was welcoming. And after you spend so much time, I got to know the staff. I became comfortable with the staff.
Yeah.
And I had one counselor, he was a godsend. So there are phases of the program. And the last phase, Gary was always my counselor. And I got to develop trust and a rapport with him and was able to open up to him, and he helped me tremendously. But yeah, I mean, never did they say, well, maybe you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
They understand the illness.
You talk about Gary. What do you think finally stuck where you went, okay? I mean, when you peak that hill and go, oh,
So I think, because I think about this a lot, like what was different about this goal
yeah.
opposed to all these other attempts I made? And to be quite honest, I don't necessarily know. I suspect, though, that this was a process for me.
Mhm.
So I didn't become fully addicted overnight. It was a process. Recovery is a process.
Mhm.
And especially the 19 months I spent at Bridge House as a client, it was a gradual getting better. Although if you're looking at me leaving and going to get loaded and have to come back, you say, well, that's not success. But maybe it was.
Mhm.
Maybe it was part of the process for me. And the last time I came here, I was, although I didn't know it, because the ride here that morning was no different than any other time. It wasn't like, yep, this is the time at all. I had no clue. But perhaps I'd finally gotten to a place where in recovery, we talk about surrender. I asked for help again. I received help. I had to get some outside help. I was probably clinically depressed
Mm.
the last time I come in. And so I had to go and get some medication for that, which helped me tremendously. I came out of it after a couple of weeks of taking the medication. I'm no longer on that medication, but I took it long enough to where the doctor said, okay, we think you're good. And then I got really involved in the 12-step fellowship. And I really got involved. And I think more than anything, now that helped me tremendously.
One of the things I love about your program and others like it is there's dignity in work, right? And feeling useful from pushing a shopping cart to work. What did it feel like when they said, hey, how'd you like the work they use Carla?
So let me say this. So part of the program is the vocational part. And we have different revenue streams and job sites, we call them, where clients, after they complete the first 30 days, which is intensive, then they begin up getting assigned to different job sites. And I remember in 2014, my first time here, them telling me that there was a used car lot. And I was intrigued because my story in California is very it's a long, interesting story. That's a whole nother podcast. But one of my attempts at sobriety in California after the bridge was I got in the car business because I was in a detox center where the guy said, you might be good at the business I'm in. And so I got into it. So anyways, I get here in 2014. They said, yeah, they have a used car line. I'm thinking, what? A what? And they get a lot of cars and they sell a lot of cars.
Yep.
What? So I immediately talked to the vocational counselor. I said, hey, I have a history of selling cars. I was actually pretty good at it. I'd love to be assigned to the car line. And I was. And I was blown away by the amount of cars that were being donated. And still today, as the director of that department now, I'm blown away. But I think it's a testament to the work that Bridge House does in our community and has done for a very long time. So many people have been helped. We get calls all the time, wanting to donate a car because we helped their son 20 years ago, or we helped someone in their family, or a friend got sober in Bridge House, and we just want it. We love the mission. We want to help. So,
What did it feel like when they asked you to be in charge? What did it feel like, given the history, to have them trust you?
yeah. So it was my fifth, knock on wood, final time. I was told, hey, go see Gary. He wants to talk to you about job search. Because that's the last part of our program is job search, where we allow our clients to go out, get a job, stay here, pay a small part of client fees, which they get half back, and find a stable place to live while they're working and staying here. So I said, well, he's going to release me to job search. And I'm in fear and anxiety because where am I going to work? I haven't had work history in a number of years. I don't know who's going to hire me. It's a mess. So I go up there and he doesn't say that we're going to release you to job search. He says Bridge House wants to offer you a position as the assistant manager at the car lot. I mean, I was dumbfounded. I mean, what? you know, because I had such low self-esteem from, it robs us of our dignity, the disease. It robs us of our self-worth. I didn't think much of myself at that time. And I'm like, wait, I was blown away by it. Of course, I accepted it. And then a year later, or just over a year later, they decided that they were going to move forward in a different direction from where they were going with the person before me and offered me the position. And I just could not believe it. And I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
I work in the evenings sometimes, and I'm like, they entrust. I mean, this used car lot generates almost 20% of our yearly budget. They trust me to run it. Mind blowing to me. Mind blowing. I'm so grateful.
I love your quote, though. If you can remember it, I'll let you finish it if you can remember it. That we aren't in the business of selling cars.
Right. So we aren't in the business of selling cars. However, we sell cars in order to do that. We save lives.
That's so good.
Because I don't want people to think, oh, that, Bridge House, they're just a used car thing. Yeah, we're not that.
Right.
It's vitally important for these cars because this is a major undertaking, what we do here. It is a business. It's an expensive undertaking, what we do here. We have 150 beds. That's a lot of beds.
That's a ton of beds. That's an unbelievable number of beds.
Long term, most centers I know, when the Medicaid runs out, you have to go.
Yeah.
That is not what we do here. And so I stress that to people. Yeah, we sell used cars, but we're saving lives first and foremost. In order to do that, we have to sell cars.
Yeah, Kevin and I also talked about your thrift store and whatnot, but this is a loaded question. I don't really expect you to have an answer for this, Dennis. Maybe it's more rhetorical, but I was trying to think when I talk to people in the field about this, what other disease do we treat where we fund it with thrift stores and used cars?
Otherwise, if we didn't have these revenue streams, we'd be just, and I believe the longer you're in treatment, the better chance you have. But it's a shame because it's 2025 and we have all this science, we have data, we know what's going on, we know what's happening in the brain, we know this is an illness, and yet we somehow are still treating it like it's a moral failure.
Yes.
And we're always low-hanging fruit when it comes to getting cut. We're the easiest to go after because there's still a stigma. These people ask for it. They deserve what they get, unfortunately.
Well, and especially the populations that you service and that you were a part of at one time. I mean, how do you do, given where you come from, how do you do outreach to fill those beds since it can't be just
So
a billboard?
we do have a person assigned to outreach, and he does a great job. He's at all the shelters. He's under the Claiborne overpass. He's putting the word out about Bridge House. But also, Bridge House is just well known. I mean, when I tell someone, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I work for Bridge House." Maybe not every time, but a lot of times, someone will say, "We love that place. We love what y'all do. You help so many people." They know because we've been doing this for so long.
And there's a really strong sense of mentorship at Bridge House, Grace House too, right? Where you have people
Yeah,
go like you did from
I,
client to employee.
I got to tell you, some of the best friends I have were guys I was in treatment with back in from 2014 to 2016. Some of them have become very successful, but they stay grounded, they stay rooted. They know we call it 4150 because that's our address. That's our little thing, 4150. We have strong connections. And sometimes guys relapse, but we're there for them.
Yeah.
And we have people that got clean 35 years ago, 40 years ago, that still are active in our mission here. They come to all the fundraisers, they raise money. I keep saying it, but it's a testament to Bridge House, to Buzzy Gagne, who really had the vision, to Elsa Peterson, who picked it up after him, and now Kevin, who's doing a magnificent job of keeping Bridge House, our reputation intact. And in
Oh,
the,
that's really important, isn't it? That reputation.
absolutely, it's all we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's everything.
How important for you personally, how important is your daily routine and structure in just keeping your nose in the right direction?
So when I first got sober, when I first, completed, well, the final time when I got offered the job here, and I was for the first 3 years of my sobriety, I was in a meeting every day, and I developed something for me that works for me. I believe that each person finds what works for them, and for me, I'm probably a couple meetings a week or every couple weeks, but I have a routine from the time I wake up in the morning till I go to bed at night. And a lot of it revolves around here at Bridge House because it is a job. It is a job, but I'm connected to recovery in such a way. There's always people coming by who are in recovery. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
plugged in. You are plugged in here. Bridge House is a destination for so many in the recovery community. They'll come by my office and sit down and talk with me for a half hour about their life, about recovery, about me, about my life, about recovery. So, I think routine is very, very, very important, especially early in recovery.
Yes.
It's vital,
Well, I bet when you were homeless, you also had a routine.
correct? You're absolutely right. I had a routine. If I slept, if a lot of times, I'd be on a 3, 4 day binge. But if I slept, the first thing in the morning I did was grab my sign because I had to go get some money for some vodka. And then once I got the vodka in me, I'd go back with my sign because now I needed the drugs.
Hmm.
And it was wash, rinse, and repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. And you know, you know, addiction is a full-time job. If you
Yes.
if you're addicted to substances, it is a full-time job. Just like when we get sober, recovery is a full-time job, especially early on. Meetings, step work, sponsorship. It's a full-time job. I always tell guys who are newly sober, you don't need a lot of downtime. You don't need a lot of idle
No.
time.
Oh,
Stay busy.
yeah. I'll let you end with this. I love your bio quote on your website. It's so simple. It's so good. Your bio quote is life is wonderful now. How do you spread the message?
So I live my life in such a way that people see because there are a lot of people who were affected by my addiction. And a lot of those people were completely removed themselves from my life, rightfully so. Okay. Those same people, just about all of them, are now back in my life. And it's really amazing. And I'm married today. I'm married to a wonderful woman. I love her so much. She's a blessing in my life. We have 2 chihuahuas we love. We travel. I went from living under a bridge pushing and shoving hard to having a life today that really sometimes I pinch myself. And so other people see that. And
Yeah.
so I'm a walking testament to the
Yes.
power of recovery. We do recover. We don't have to stay under the bridge. We don't have to continue living that way. There are alternatives. There are better, there is a way out.
Awesome. Dennis, I'm so happy I got a chance to talk to you and listen to your story and the work that you guys do. I appreciate it so much. And those of you who are listening, you know that we put links to Dennis's bio is on our link, as well as the Bridge House Grace House if you're interested in finding out more about them. We hope that you who are listening or watching find help and support wherever you are. As always, we thank you for listening, for watching. Be safe and go make life wonderful today.